Hi everyone, so we are going to continue from where we left off. We're still in the book of Matthew in chapter 5, and today we're going to tackle two sections. Jesus is teaching about divorce and he's teaching about vows. But before we proceed, we want to recall what we've read so far. In the book of Matthew in chapter 5, it details Jesus' teachings to his disciples. In the first section, it talked about the Beatitudes, where we were able to pull a detailed blueprint of how we're supposed to live as members of the kingdom of heaven. He proceeded to give us our designation as to who we're supposed to be as salt and light of the earth and the world. And then he tackled the law, wherein he announced that he is not here to abolish the law or remove one speck out of the law, but he is here to fulfill the law in its entirety. There he proceeded to even break down the law and teaching us detailed aspect about anger, and then his teachings about adultery, which has perfectly landed us in the next section we're going to be reading here, which is the teaching about divorce. Only 2 verses long. It begins in verse 31, concludes in verse 32. And once we wrap up that section, we're going to take a pause and reference any point of emphasis and then proceed into the next section, which is the teaching about vows. So in verse 31 it says, "You have heard the law that says a man can divorce his wife by merely giving her a written notice of divorce. But I say that a man who divorces his wife, unless she has been unfaithful, causes her to commit adultery. And anyone who marries a divorced woman also commits adultery." So there's something so beautiful about the book of Matthew. I feel like it was so orderly written. And once you complete a section, I feel like there is just this ease of the next section playing a greater factor into what was just written and what we just read. So I feel like it just ties into each other very seamlessly. But one of the key emphasis that I wanted to highlight in our reading about the teaching about divorce that Jesus just gave to his disciples, I wanted us to go to a book in the Old Testament called Malachi. It's the last book of the Old Testament, and there's something so fascinating about these verses that I'm about to read. It is in chapter 2, and chapter 2 in this section details a call to faithfulness. Verse 15 says, "Didn't the Lord make you one with your wife in body and spirit? You are his. And what does he want? Godly children from your union. So guard your heart. Remain loyal to the wife of your youth. For I hate divorce, says the Lord, the God of Israel. To divorce your wife is to overwhelm her with cruelty, says the Lord of heaven's army. So guard your heart. Do not be unfaithful to your wife." I think that's the perfect emphasis that we needed for this, because it ties clearly with what Jesus actually spoke about. But as we proceed to read the book of Matthew, there's actually a lot more teaching that comes about in regards to divorce specifically. So the next section here talks about teaching about vows, and it begins in verse 33 and concludes in verse 37. So in verse 33 it says, "You have also heard that our ancestors were told, 'You must not break your vows, you must not carry out the vows you make to the Lord.' But I say, do not make any vows. Do not say by heaven, because heaven is God's throne. And do not say by earth, because the earth is his footstool. And do not say by Jerusalem, for Jerusalem is the city of the great king. Do not even say by my head, for you can't turn one hair white or black. Just say a simple yes, I will, or no, I won't. Anything beyond this is from the evil one." This is still relevant in this day and age, because we hear a lot of "I swear to God." And here it states very clearly that do not make vows at all. I wanted us to go to Exodus 20 verse 7. This talks about the 10 commandments, and there was a commandment that actually ties very strongly with these verses that we just read. So it's Exodus chapter 20 verse 7. It says, "You must not misuse the name of the Lord your God. The Lord will not let you go unpunished if you misuse his name." So that clearly states that. And one of the key things that was very much highlighted here is that I think that the emphasis here is that less is more, and having to be more mindful and discerning. What results are you trying to achieve by either emphasizing on your yes or emphasizing on your no? What does that actually benefit you? It is important to stay true to your conviction of your yes and your no. So with that, I leave you with those key learnings today, and I am really excited about our next section. It's going to be the teaching about revenge. So I leave you with that, and I will talk to you later. All right, bye.